timely programs and policies in place in order to make West Africa a disease-free bloc. The Vice President was speaking on behalf of President Barrow at the official opening of the 19th Ordinary Assembly of ECOWAS Health Ministers currently underway in Banjul. The meeting brings together 15 ECOWAS Health Ministers, experts and liaison officers of the West Africa Health Organization. Seni Marina has details.
Today's meeting of ECOWAS Health Ministers in Banjul is the climax of the 19th Ordinary Assembly of the ECOWAS Health Ministers Summit. The meeting that brings together all 15 Ministers of Health under ECOWAS was graced by the Vice President and Minister of Women's Affairs, Aja Fatoumata Jallow Tambaja. The Assembly of ECOWAS Health Ministers is the West African bloc decision-making body on health matters. And the Banjul meeting discusses key issues in the health sector, such as a regional laboratory strategic plan, mental health proposal, and medical regulations, among others. The Banjul meeting provides a unique opportunity to make key decisions towards the modernization of the sub-regional health sector.
Health, as you know, is key to national development. As without health, there can be no meaningful development.
Declaring the event open, the Vice President Aja Fatoumata Jallow Tambaja underscored the importance of a viable healthcare system in spurring meaningful development.
The West African Health Organization, formed with the aim to enhance.
At the end of the meeting, a final communique listing key decisions and resolutions taken to ensure the well-being of the people in the ECOWAS region was issued. Professor Stanley Okolo is the Director General of West Africa Health Organization.
We put before you, the ministers today, some key issues for adoption, including the Regional Laboratory Strategic Plan, the Regional Biobank Regulation for ECOWAS, the Regional Mental Health Strategic Plan, Common Technical Documents on Pharmaceutical Regulation, key orientations of the evaluation of reference hospitals, and the Banjul Declaration on Fistula by the First Ladies of ECOWAS countries.
Health Minister Safilo Sise also outlined the Gambia's commitment to the development of West Africa Health Organization.
The West African region, with a population of over 300 million, has similarities of disease burden. In general, the ECOWAS bloc has a huge burden of both communicable and non-communicable diseases, such as malaria, HIV and AIDS, tuberculosis, neglected tropical diseases, emerging and re-emerging diseases, and for this reason, all the health system, the building blocks, needs strengthening.
Faber Gay Flo is the ECOWAS ambassador to the Gambia.
I'm therefore delighted that the ministers in charge of health and regional health experts are being brought together to brainstorm, harmonize their thoughts, and take salient decisions on health issues impacting the lives of over 36 million West Africans.
Meanwhile, the Togolese Minister of Health and the chairperson of the ECOWAS Assembly of Health Ministers said their mandate is to ensure the well-being of ECOWAS citizens is protected through collaboration among member states. Responsible for health issues, the West Africa Health Organization is a specialized institution of ECOWAS with the objective of attaining the highest possible standards in the region's healthcare sector. Seni Marina for GRT.
Of the Assembly of ECOWAS Health Ministers meeting, the Director General of the West African Health Organization and team has updated GRTS with regards to projects being implemented in the sub-region. Professor Stanley Okolo told us that efforts are being made for the production of locally made medicines. Here is a part of that interview.
Several areas that we are working on, even though it's to do with health and well-being, it does have a tremendous impact on the economy. We have had several plans. We have harmonized, for example, the pharmaceuticals in terms of the regulation, the policy across all 15 countries. We are working with the United Nations International Development Organization, and I was at UNIDO in Vienna a few weeks ago, where we signed a memorandum of understanding to help our pharmaceutical companies to continue to meet the good manufacturing GMP various specifications, but also so that we can get to the stage where there will be regional manufacturing. At the moment, we have done an assessment of many pharmaceutical countries, almost all pharmaceutical companies in the region, and we know that there are some that are on Class A, some on Class B, and some on Class C. What we now need to do over the next, over the coming months, is to actually get on board the platform for us to start indigenous manufacturing. The first thing is to try and consolidate on all the gains we've made. We have a lot of strong networks in various areas. The second is to start picking up some of the public health and best practices to scale it up on population level so that it goes across the population. And the third, I know we're running out of time, but we also have to think about how we ensure that whatever we do has an impact on the population of the people.
And that was Professor Stanley Okolo there speaking to GRTS's Fatu Mulushi. The Gambia Ferry Service continues efforts to improve services to the public. At the Banjul Bara ferry crossing services there have improved significantly. But as Mustafa Mbai reports, some passengers expressed concern about conditions at waiting rooms as well.
Due to poor management, interference in their operations by the office of the former president, as well as staff inefficiency. The infamous purchase of the Al Jamdu and the Kansala ferries a few years ago, allegedly directed and partly facilitated by the office of the former president, still lingers in the minds of Gambians. The decision ended in disaster, as none of those ferries purchased for nearly $400 million ever made it because of their incompatibility to Gambia's conditions. But that was then. Now the ferry service seems to be well managed. They have procured a new and very reliable ferry, the Kunta Kinte. And at both terminals, there are waiting rooms for passengers. Most of the vicinity at terminals is kept clean, well organized, and staff busy at work. But these achievements did not come without hitches. According to some passengers, they still can't comprehend why the management of the ferries could not come up with a respected timing for the ferry and cannot still provide separate arrival and departure terminals to avoid the ferries waiting for each other to anchor. Concerns I put to Deputy Managing Director, Gambia Ports Authority, Usman M. Jubate.
Part of the dredging contract that I mentioned should start by middle of June, and hopefully we'll achieve it by mid-July, is to dredge 30,000 cubic meters of sand at Banjul and at Bara, 15,000 cubic meters each. And that will enable us to achieve enough water depth so that the ferries can run at any state of the tide. So this time of having the ferries to be on downtime because of tidal restriction will soon be a thing of the past. Well, part of the plans also is to have an alternative landing bridges installed both at Banjul and Bara.
Then the discomfort some of the passengers say they endure while in waiting rooms at terminals. I joined them at both ends to see for myself. At the Banjul end, the wait, I was told, is sometimes too long in a place some describe as non-spacious. They also complained that some of their colleague passengers were given preferential treatment and are allowed to enter through restricted areas, taking the most comfortable seats on the ferry, and this I observed to be true while in the waiting room. The Bara end, space is never a problem at the waiting room. But these passengers seen here, including myself, have to rush each other to the gates and run over 100 meters under intense pressure to avoid being left behind by the ferry heading to Banjul. Some motorists also complain of some vehicles being given preference by ferry services staff.
Yes, it's first come, first time basis in terms of small cars. But in another way around, the small cars, some of them, they have priority. Some there are authorities like this NIA directors, education, and other directors, senior officers, that ambassadors normally come early in the morning, or like dead bodies. We give those one pipe, even if they late to come, we have to facilitate them first, then before going to the queue.
One thing is obvious from my visit to Banjul Barra crossing. Ferry services have improved significantly, and this positive achievement is expected to gain momentum as the management eyes 24-hour service by August this year. But complaints of favoritism among passengers was something visible at both the Barra and Banjul terminals, and where all pay the same fee, all should be treated equally. Reporting for GRTS News, I am Mustafa Mbai.
The National Assembly Select Committee on Environment, Sustainable Development and NGO Affairs is on a continuation of its nationwide tour, reaching out to communities to assess their levels of environmental degradation. The committee was at the village of Faraba Bantang, where a conflict of interest between mining companies and villagers is currently underway. The issue has resulted in a violent clash between youths of the village and security officers as villagers protest against the miners to leave their communities. Famara Kanye reports.
This is Faraba Bantang village, an agrarian community, but now a good venue for estate agencies and mining companies. Almost every household here depends on agriculture for survival. Few years ago, Faraba Bantang became an epicenter of mining, and today most of our arable lands are felt in the hands of Dulaki and other local mining companies. This woman, for instance, is among the many victims of the industrial mining. She depends on farming for a livelihood, and today her only plot of land had perished in the hands of legal miners. With no place to farm, survival is becoming a challenge, and her state of poverty is on the increase. Elsewhere in the mining area, some villagers have also joined the industrial miners to earn a living. Aisatu Koli, a mother of 6, spends her day under the scorching sun to sustain her growing family. She told me that the job is time-consuming, and judging from the life of a typical miner like hers, with the hardship involved in the process, one could conclude that poverty eradication is the only reason keeping her in such a dangerous situation. Some concerned villagers have filed a complaint to the National Assembly seeking for a redress.
Julake's license should be revoked, and he should be referred to come back and seek the consent of the community if we can be able to get lancing properly.
Honorable Seni Toure is leading the selected committee of the National Assembly on Environment, Sustainable Development and NGO Affairs.
And we are not impressed when it comes to issues surrounding our environment. We have a lot of work to do to sensitize people in terms of preserving our own environment.
The issue had resulted into a violent clash between the villagers and security forces. Some officers from the armed wing of the Gambia police force are stationed at the outskirts of the village to serve as a reinforcement should in case of any legal breakdown that could cause commotion. Meantime, the situation remains a concern for some inhabitants whose farms have fell in the hands of the miners. Reporting for GRTS News, I am Famarakani.
The Gambia Trade Union Bureau, in collaboration with Future in Our Hands, recently held a capacity assessment participatory appraisal workshop for its executive members. Suma Jadama has the rest of that story.
At the Gambia Trade Union Bureau, a new scheme aims to boost capacity and operational efficacy to realize sustainable goals in the education sector. The program that brings together several executive members is geared towards improving and engaging the effective delivery of members in various institutions. Here, Program Coordinator Yankuba Mane explains the rationale behind the capacity building initiative.
So this is a very important workshop, given the fact that it is going to tell or determine the relationship of GAMTOB with the donor, because it's going to tell the donor precisely what are the issues that they can really, address, or they may want to address.
Mr. Mane further dilated on how the workshop is expected to help better equip participants in carrying out their executive errands.
So here the expectation is, once this assessment is done, it's going to reveal all the problems that hinder their effective performance. So once that is done, you know what is going to happen? This is going to be reported to Solidarity Center. And Solidarity Center is going to help come in. I told you that it's an entry point, if you like. This process is an entry point to GAMTOB.
The program is expected to enhance the capacity of members amidst efforts to inject new standards in the organization's interventions, espousing a more inclusive direction. GAM2 chairperson Keba Masane Sise was among the participants.
We have been engaged in several activities in the past with the hope that, achieving all our programs come end of December, we should be able to finally inaugurate a national character of a trade union movement in the Gambia.
The chairperson, who is fresh from attending the International Labour Conference in Geneva, Switzerland, also told us about the current drive to expand the functions and operational capacity of the union and other organizations under its umbrella.
We have now agreed that they will finance a mapping exercise of the different sectors that we call a sectorial mapping exercise, which is of foremost, that is trying to identify sectors that need and that can be easily organized into unions.
The Gambia Trade Union Bureau was founded in July 2007 with a view to convening all unions in the country under one umbrella for effective operation. Suma Jadama, reporting for GRTS.
Dinding Yiriwa Federation, a CBO affiliated to Child Fund the Gambia, is implementing various development programs geared towards improving the quality of life of children and youth in Kombo North and South District. In this endeavor, the management of the Federation presented building materials and other items to families who were victims of disasters at Sanyang village. Seydou Kamara has more in this report.
This presentation of building materials to victims of natural disaster, ranging from flash floods to fire outbreaks, are among the latest targets of the Dinding Yiriwa Federation, which is moving to dispatch materials to support the needy families and institutions within the Kombo North and South District in the West Coast region. The communication officer, Dinding Yiriwa Federation, Buba Damfa, highlighted the significance of the Federation intervention aimed at easing the burden of loss on victims who experience different unexpected adversities. Providing a positive setting for their sponsors' children is a key objective of the organizations, with the donated materials expected to additionally benefit the children.
So what we actually do is to conduct an assessment to verify and see the magnitude of that particular disaster for that family. Then we will come up with recommendations or remedial actions as to how do we respond to that. We actually want to ensure people who really deserve and needs the support actually have the support.
Designed to empower young girls, a fully equipped skill training center has also unveiled in Kombo Sanyang and other locations by the Dindin Federation.
This is one of the core components of our intervention area. We need to give back to our community, and for any sustainable development, when young people are involved and engaged, then there is the tendency that we will actually attain to a sustainable development. Because these are our children that we sponsor along the line. Some have already dropped and has potential skills that they can grow on.
For the beneficiaries like Body Jamne, the Federation is an important organization that constantly responds to national needs and issues. She thank the federations and guarantee that the materials will be put into good use. Roy Sane is a student at Sanyang Skills Training Center opened by the Dindin Federation. She expressed joy to be given the opportunity to learn sewing and other skills and other essential skills. Child Funds Famana Fofana underscored the significance of the Federation's intervention in providing shelter and better living conditions for the beneficiaries, adding that the skills center will create job opportunity for girls.
I'm happy to see a group of family members and their children taking delivery of very essential items, corrugated cement and even doors. You know, this form a very important component of shelter. And if you look at it, everything, the ultimate beneficiaries are the children. It is given to parents, but it is going to be trickled down to children, because children that are sponsored need to be protected. And they cannot be protected when they are not sleeping in a very comfortable or a very convenient circumstance or conditions. You know, girls are facing a lot of daunting challenges. To help empower them, you have to give them, arm them with skills, gainful skills. By doing so, economically, they'll be empowered. They will not be very dependent on others. And you are also making sure that they are not being exploited and abused.
Some of the donated materials include cement, corrugate, and small remnants, all meant to empower local households and communities, as the Federation's mandate is to implement various development programs geared towards improving children's quality of life and their meaningful employment of youth. Seydou Camara, GRTS News.
The U.S. ambassador to the Gambia, Patricia Alsop, Thursday inaugurated a new market at Jiboro Kuta village. The facility, funded by the U.S. Embassy in Banjul, is meant to ease shopping constraints for locals, especially women. Sena Bujang reports.
Residents of Jiboro village came out in large numbers to witness the inauguration of the first ever market in the settlement. Constructors and youth volunteers worked tirelessly day and night to complete the market, which is now ready for use in one of the most important border communities in the West Coast region. The newly constructed market, expected to immensely promote and boost commercial activity in the expansive village, is the new pride of the Village Women's Community Association, set to become key stakeholders in the Jiboro market. A host of high-level dignitaries, including U.S. Ambassador Patricia Alsop, graced the colorful occasion. Village Alcala Sherifa Jata explained how the village had existed for over a century without a proper marketplace. It is the first standard market in Jiboro Kuta village, according to Alcala Jata, who recalled that in the past, women vendors displayed their wares and groceries for sale on a cloth arranged on the ground.
You will all agree with me that a healthy society is a wealthy society. So Jiboro is a wealthy village as from today.
A timely intervention resolving an urgent necessity, the people of Jiboro were finally salvaged by the U.S. Embassy, which provided $7,325 and the Brikama Area Council, who also donated $40,000 to help build the new market. Mamsiet Jalo's Chief Executive Officer of the Brikama Area Council said the market will ease and facilitate a great commercial venture for women.
It is no secret that the women of the Gambia in general and Kombo in particular have long been known as hardworking, especially on the farms and in the gardens.
The chairman of the Village Development Committee, Suleiman Jata, said that the new market will provide income to many in the community, as almost all vendors are people residing within the municipality. Certificates of appreciation were handed to the workers for the successful completion of the market project. The U.S. Ambassador Alsop also received the Certificate of Appreciation, especially recognizing the U.S. Embassy for strongly supporting a life-changing scheme. Acknowledging the many efforts that contributed to the project's success, Ambassador Patricia Alsop outlined that the U.S. Embassy were able to assist the people of Jiboro through their all-special self-help program.
Your project was selected because you showed us that you had mobilized your own resources to start the project even before our funding came through.
The market has now been officially opened, and here a special conducted tour for U.S. Ambassador Patricia Alsop, sampling the first marketplace ready for business in the strategic border community of Jiboro Kuta. Reporting for GRTS News, I am Sena Bujang.
And do stay with us for this first commercial break. The sports news is up next. We'll be right back.
Hey, what are you doing here?
I'm going to replace my official 3G SIM card.
Why use a 3G SIM card when you have a 4G phone? Replace your 3G SIM card today for the real Africell 4G SIM and receive 1 GB of internet data for free.
Really?
Yes. Get 1 GB for free just by replacing your SIM card at any Africell outlet with no loss of contact. The cost of bundle from the 3G SIM card is the same for the 4G SIM. And guess what? With the 4G SIM card, you can also connect to the 3G network as well.
This is so cool. I'll replace my 3G SIM card right away to the real 4G SIM and receive my very own 1 GB for free.
From Africell, it's always real and it's for free.
Where Africell goes, oh, no one has the speed to follow. Drinking water gets the best out of you.
Welcome back, and now let's take a look at sports. A Gambian football referee who was caught on camera receiving gifts from an undercover journalist in an investigative documentary has temporarily resigned from all refereeing activities. Ibrahim Jallo is amongst 100 referees named in a match-fixing scandal uncovered by Ghanaian investigative journalist Anas Aremu Anas, alleging serious corruption in African football. GRTS sports reporter MS Jallo has been following that developing story for us.
The much anticipated premiere of an investigative documentary by Ghanaian investigative journalist Aremu Anas has taken place in Accra. The two-year undercover investigation has revealed serious alleged corruption into African football, with footage of 100 referees and officials secretly filmed taking cash before games. Among those who featured in the expose is Gambian referee Ibrahim Jallo, who was caught on camera receiving a $500 gift from Anas' men, who disguised as Ghana fans ahead of their Wafu Group game against Mali last year in Cape Coast. The alleged involvement of the Gambian referee in a bribery scandal unearthed by the Ghanaian investigative journalist Anas has been posted in a short BBC video, and the news has been received with mixed feelings by football fans, with many shocked by the allegations.
Having seen this kind of video, allegedly involving one of my referees, it's really disheartening and it's unfortunate. But what I will put to the public, that let us be patient. Everybody is entitled to your opinion. You can make your conclusion in whatever way you want it. From the angle you are seeing the whole episode, fine. But let us wait for investigation to take its course.
The shocking revelation prompted an emergency meeting between officials of the Gambia Football Federation, Gambia Referees Association, and referee Jallo to assess the damning allegations. What will this mean to that enviable track of refereeing in this country?
Well, it is a big challenge, we must admit, because one of my own, being surfaced in this video, though an allegation, but still a big challenge, that we have to overcome as a team. From my humble self as the chairperson to the federation, presidency, and the executive, yes, we agree that we have to overcome this as a team. We have to move on. FIFA will look into the issue critically, and I'm very confident that FIFA will communicate to us through GFF.
Jallo, who has denied receiving the money to fix matches, has decided to step down from all refereeing activities until after an investigation is conducted.
The person in question equally called me on the phone. We spoke, and he met me and Kaba. And at this point in time, I can confidently tell you that he has already tendered his resignation. In a summary form, to say that he has excused himself from all footballing activities until such a time that the investigation conducted, and hopefully he is exonerated, then he will come back.
But it must be noted, the Gambian referee who runs the Lions is not yet guilty until after an investigation or in a law court. The investigative documentary by the Ghanaian has been received with outrage among football fans in Ghana and beyond. The question now is, what will this mean for African football? But for now, it remains to be seen where all this ends. Modest Jallo, GRT Sports.
When we come back, we will take a look at news from outside the Gambia. Please stay with us.
neex cafka gu am solo sa biir gémmiñ ak fiirtaange gu amul fenn la Top Saho drink bu ees bi ñu tënk ko ci 33 centilitre di la jox ma ne saa yu njaboot gi daje di lekk Top Saho drink nga fa génn ndax bànneex ak kontante gu am solo laa indil njaboot gi yëpp Top Saho drink fees del ak vitamine C moo gën pour njaboot gi Top Saho drink ak a neex ma ne saa yu amee jotaay mbégte sëy wala taka Top Saho drink nga ci génn ndax dafa neexal torop sa feet ñëpp di ci bànneexu ma ne ñamal see Top Saho fruit drink si ñu am ko ci flavors yu bari demee na ci orange mango ak yeneen tropical fruit flavors Top Saho am na lactic drinks tamit mu fees del ak vitamine C ak calcium Top Saho am na yogurt fruits tamit tamarind juice di energy drink bu laa jox doole bu amul fenn ma ne ñamal xeeti Top Saho fruit drinks yi nga xam ne ute naag yi fi nekk Top Saho drinks yi nag ñu leen ko indil di top food te top food amul werante moo gën ci Afrika
Welcome back. Zimbabwe's main opposition party says it's up to the huge task of rebuilding a broken society to bring about real transformation. The party and its 6 alliance partners unveiled their manifesto in Harare ahead of the elections next month. Farai Makutuya has more.
MDC Alliance presidential candidate Nelson Chamisa, who took over from the late Morgan Tsvangirai, is making his first bid at trying to unseat the ruling ZANU-PF. But it's not just a new leader that the opposition has. It's also adopted a new mantra, upgrading its push for change to calls for radical transformation, which it says is what's needed to give Zimbabwe a new beginning.
The level of joblessness, the level of despair, the destruction of our companies, our factories, the dilapidated roads that we have, the absence of cash in the banks, the hospitals that are mortuaries, the challenges that we face in terms of broken families, with a lot of our family members in the diaspora, those are tough challenges. They also require a tough leadership. And we are here providing that tough leadership.
It's promised to resolve the debt crisis, scrap bond notes, and join the Rand Monetary Union to resolve a long-running cash and economic crisis, and also intends to achieve double-digit economic growth and a GDP of over 40 billion by 2023. While in a power-sharing government with ZANU-PF between 2009 and 2013, the MDC says it brought a semblance of stability and economic growth.
What we did in the inclusive government, we want to do it on our own now when we form the next government on the 1st of August.
The MDC's policy agenda is based on 3 pillars: transformation, opportunity, and prosperity. themes it's confident will resonate with an electorate which it says is desperate for a fresh start.
And we are going to be pursuing more economics than politics, more investment than slogans, more ideas than the rhetoric of the past. We are going to build a great country.
The MDC insists it will not relent on demands for electoral reforms, which were in a petition it delivered to the Zimbabwe Electoral Commission earlier this week. Farai Makutuya, CGTN, Harare, Zimbabwe.
Al-Shabaab has launched another attack in Somalia. Earlier this week, it killed 2 regional lawmakers in a deadly roadside ambush near Mogadishu. The attacks came as Somali leaders were meeting to discuss the fight against the militant group. From Mogadishu, CGTN's Abdulaziz Bilo has more.
The deadly ambush took place on Tuesday evening near the capital, Mogadishu. Al-Shabaab claimed responsibility for Tuesday's brazen attack that claimed the lives of 12 people, among them 2 regional lawmakers and their 9 bodyguards, that happened in the village of Al Kegelo, some 45 kilometers north of Mogadishu. The lawmakers from the Hirshabelle regional state were on their way to the capital city from Johar, the regional state capital, before heavily armed militants damaged their 2 vehicles that they were traveling in with rocket propeller grenades.
The security agencies must give an immediate response to the atrocities being committed by the group, especially those targeting travelers along the road between Mogadishu and Jawar. We must pursue those responsible and bring the killers to book.
In March, Al-Shabaab killed 2 regional lawmakers in a roadside bomb near Balidogle, one of the country's biggest military bases. The duo had just returned from a security meeting in that region. Militant group Al-Shabaab has stepped up its attacks during Ramadan by ambushing government officials and security forces along the main roads that lead to the capital.
Al-Shabaab are very sophisticated, yes, but they are sophisticated because there is no challenge of power. Are Al-Shabaab getting enough, pressure? Are the Al-Shabaab in the point where they hide from point to point? They are not. Al-Shabaab are free to do whatever they want. They have to invest the Somali security. They have to empower Somali security, which they should have done a long time ago.
The latest attacks comes as regional and federal leaders concluded a 3-day security summit in the city of Baidoa, aimed at addressing the country's security problems. The African Union peacekeeping mission, AMISOM, has also been a target for Al-Shabaab, losing its soldiers and military vehicles to deadly roadside bombs in areas near the capital. Allied forces are increasingly becoming frustrated with Al-Shabaab's ever-increasing guerrilla tactics. The group is using assassins to carry out its attacks here in the capital and other major cities. And in areas outside Mogadishu, it's using roadside bombs to target government officials and security personnel, dealing a major blow in the fight against terrorism.
Al-Shabaab are more aggressive. Al-Shabaab are taking a position, the land, they control in the land, government and AMISOM controlling the outposts and the barracks. And that doesn't give us much hope. Government can fulfill the national security of Somalia.
And as leaders embark on fulfilling the agreements reached in Baidoa, securing the main supply routes for AMISOM and government forces remains the most challenging task ahead for authorities. Abdulaziz Bilo, CGTN, Mogadishu, Somalia.
And before we end the news tonight, let's take a look at the weather from the National Weather Forecast Office. And now to end the news, a look again at the main news headlines. The Vice President, Her Excellency Aja Fatoumata Jallow Tambajang, has urged ECOWAS health ministers to devise strategic health policies to make West Africa a disease-free bloc. A brimful rush for the ferries, Grts dug deep to find out concerns affecting activities at the Banjul-Bara ferry crossing. A resurgent Al-Shabaab, 2 lawmakers were killed in an attack in Mogadishu as Somali leaders met to discuss the fight against the militant group. And in sports, you heard the latest details in the recent resignation of a Gambian referee among 100 others named in a major refereeing scandal. And that brings us to the end of tonight's edition of GRTS News. We thank you for the pleasure of your company and hope you'll join us again tomorrow, same time, for another news bulletin. From your news team, thanks for joining us. Have a great weekend. Bye for now.